If you have turned on the Walmart Spark app recently, you have noticed a major downturn in your experience. More and more people are having to divert and find other plans, and in this video, we're going to talk about why. Why is this happening? Why does this happen across the board with other apps? Is there anything that's going to be done? And ultimately, what's the future of us people who like doing this as our full-time job? Let's dive into it. Hello, and welcome back to another Cruisin with Corey. We are out here talking about the downfall of Walmart Spark, and not just Walmart Spark. I want to talk to you guys about why this happens across the board. A lot of you drivers are new. A lot of you drivers have been here for a long time. So some of us have not witnessed one of these downfalls before. And if you have witnessed a downfall before, you may be confused as to why this happens. And we're going to do a deep dive into it to get you guys to understand what is happening, why it's happening. And we'll just go over, again, where are we going to go from here? Of course, if you're new here to Cruisin with Corey, we do ride-alongs, tips and tricks. We do these deep dives into different apps. Like, share, comment, and subscribe if that's something that you'll find some interest in. But no further ado, I have been doing Walmart Spark since 2021, and I was lucky enough to get in for the peak of it, at least from what it seemed to me. Late 2021, very few drivers, very high pay, very low miles. This thing was ballin'. I was able to do this as my full-time app with relative ease in my market. I would very seldom need to turn on another app, DoorDash, Instacart. I had them all, but I just didn't need them. And over time, yes, I had to open up my boundaries. Things got worse, and as disappointing and frustrating as it is, I wasn't surprised by it because I understand the model. And to understand the model of why this is happening, we need to kind of go into a little bit of business 101, and I'll give you some examples that you may resonate with. Now, most businesses operate in the same manner. A guy has an idea, a guy starts the idea and starts the business out of his own pocket, but then he needs more money. They need more money to scale their idea. And at that point, they go find venture capital. And if you don't know what venture capital is,
I'll do the 150K for 15%. Got a deal? Des?
Yes.
I think we got a deal.
Done.
Thank you very much, Mark.
that's your example. Literally, you are accepting money from people with money in exchange for a portion of your company. And because of that, now there are more interests involved than just lining your own pockets. You now have a fiduciary responsibility to line their pockets as well. But there's a process to this, and that process is typically called blitz scaling, blitzing the market, going out to attack. You're trying to make your business grow as fast as possible. And there's a couple ways that this is done. The primary way is to subsidize costs in your business and basically voluntarily lose money. They are making their business more desirable for their end clients than is actually sustainable. Let's talk about some examples of this to make sense. Netflix. Netflix came in basically to put Blockbuster out of business.
Back in 2004, Blockbuster had 9,000 locations, but then Netflix came along and turned the rental industry on its head.
I'm sad about Blockbuster. I do miss that. But they came in, no, you don't need to go to the video store anymore. We're going to mail you DVDs. You don't even need to go get mailed DVDs anymore. We're going to do it online. They killed the market off, but they did it at a very discount rate. And they got a huge adoption rate. And then what happens? Go look at your Netflix bill. It has gone up. What happened to Disney Plus? Disney Plus, they wanted to go against Netflix. They came in at $6.99, no ads. Disney's like, how do you like me now? They got so much market share. and they got their name out there with their app. But what has gone on? They were losing billions of dollars and they could not sustain that. They had to eventually tweak their business model so that they could actually make money. And what does that mean? That means raising the price. That means losing some content. That means adding ads. So now let's translate this to gig. Let's talk about DoorDash. DoorDash came on the scene in 2013. Same idea. A guy comes in with money, starts an idea, starts to raise a lot of capital to scale the business. You make acquisitions, you make your platform better. Then it really is sustainable. What does that mean? It means paying drivers $6, $8, $10 per delivery. It means taking less money from the restaurants as commissions. And it means charging the customers less fees than is sustainable. And that is the big part, than is sustainable. DoorDash lost money for a really, really long time. Even through COVID, they had one COVID quarter where they actually made money, but they did not really turn profitable until just a few years ago. So through all of those years of higher base pay, of less fees, it was all a part of the plan. They were losing money to get you addicted to the service. They wanted to get the restaurants addicted to the customer flow. They wanted to get the drivers addicted to making the money and having the ease of logging in when you would like. And they wanted the customers to get addicted to the convenience of getting everything that you could ever imagine delivered to your door. And they did that, as did Uber Eats, as did all of these other platforms. But there came that time where the investors came knocking on the door and said,
okay, that's wonderful, but how do I make money?
Where's my money? Where's my money?
Where's my money? They had to, at some point, stop the bleeding and convert their business from a scaling mode to a profitability and sustainable mode. And that is where you've noticed the base pay go from $6 to $4 to $2.50 to $2. And in some areas, I know on Uber, we're even tinkering in the $1.50 range right now. But what is happening to DoorDash? They're actually reporting a profit. This is the model at play. Take your business from high to low, and then you teeter with that low to where you can still keep your clients and still keep your drivers and still keep your merchants, because they don't want to quit. They don't feel like they can quit. They feel like they're stuck. That is where these businesses that are backed by venture capital go. Now, you guys are all here for Walmart. So how does this relate to Spark? Get to the point. I know I'm terrible at doing that, but let's get to the point of Spark. In 2021, when I joined, base pay on shopping orders was around $20. Doesn't matter what it was. I remember vividly delivering a gallon of milk about 1.5 miles up the street and getting paid $20 base for it. Didn't even get a tip on it, and I didn't care, because I'll do that all day. But just think of the logistics behind that. Maybe they paid a $5 express fee. Maybe they paid $10 a month for Walmart Plus. Maybe Walmart made 50 cents to $1 a profit on that gallon of milk. That didn't equal $20. They were losing money. And I knew that wasn't sustainable, but I rode the high while I was there. Walmart was trying to compete with Amazon Prime, getting stuff to your door as quickly as possible, but they're also competing with Instacart. Walmart now is one of the most known grocery stores. If anything, it's known more as a grocery store than anything else these days, and that's because of the push that they've been doing into online pickup, online delivery. They competed with Prime, they competed with Instacart, and they were willing to lose the money to get the business off the ground. And because Walmart is so big, they had a lot of money that they could lose, and they were willing to lose it for a long time.
At first, we didn't know what to do with all the money, but in the end, we decided to just give it all away.
Come again, sir. We go back in the day. Nostalgia, us old timers. We always talk about back in the day when things were so good. Well, it was. $20 base pay. Curbside, $15 base pay. I remember for one drop. But then what happened? We went from one curbside drop to two. All right, no big whoop. I got a trunk, I got a back seat. We're fine. It was only one shopping order. All right, that's fine. But then what happens? All right, now we have 2 to 3 curbside orders. Well, now my front seat's full, but you know, other apps do triple stops. I guess I can handle it. Well, the mileage has changed. Back when I joined, 10 miles. That was it. I live 15 miles out. I couldn't get delivery. Well, 10 miles turned to 15. 15 turned to 20. 20 turned to now, at the time of this recording, at least 30 miles you can order from the store and get grocery here in 2026 because they needed to scale their available customer base. As more and more drivers joined because of social media presence, which I'm at guilt, I do it too. Walmart's so amazing, so amazing. They had so many drivers flocking to the platform that now they felt they could grow the market distance. They felt they could grow the mileage range. So now we're up to 30 miles. We're doing triple shops. We're doing triple curbsides. And now even further, the new combo curbside with package delivery GMD routes. They are starting to consolidate. Less and less trips, which equals less and less base pay, but at the same time, lowering the base pay. So they're adding range, adding stops, adding work, lowering the base pay, and lowering the scaling rate. You'll notice a shop that had 50 items on it is paying way less now than it was even 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. This is all the plan. They feel they are competing with Prime enough where now they need to back off the gas pedal and start turning this delivery program into a profitable asset. Now, as we start wrapping this up, there's a topic that comes out in all of these gig driver groups, and that is, well, if we all as drivers stop taking orders, we'll force them to pay us more. And are you right? Well, I mean, you're not totally wrong, but only on a micro scale. Because Wall Street works very funnily. I don't know if that's a word, funnily. But Wall Street would rather take a complete L than to sustain and lose money for an extended basis. So would Wall Street and Walmart's investors be happy pumping out all this delivery traffic and losing money on every order? No. Walmart would be more likely to axe delivery than they would to voluntarily burn money in the long run. That's how Wall Street works. Ventures go out of business, ventures go bankrupt, they get sold more than they just bleed money for extended periods of time. Yes, there are loss leaders. Costco has their rotisserie chicken. A lot of grocery stores will underprice milk and eggs to get you in the store. They'll do meat sales to get you in the store. They're willing to lose money on certain areas, but they can't lose money on a major component of their business, which now delivery is. So yes, you can raise the base pay by surging. You might get peak pay. You might get promos if a market starts to really dry up for some reason or another. But just turning down orders is not going to raise the base pay at a systemic level because this was the plan all along. I'm going to reiterate this. This was the plan all along. These businesses are not our friend. And the best thing that a gig driver can do, and so many content creators will tell you this, is get into an app while it's new. Because when an app is new, they are willing to lose money. Quite simply, when they are willing to lose money, that is when the pay is going to be the highest and you're least reliant on customer tips. And then once that bubble starts popping, start to shift. The problem is for us gig drivers now is that the market is very full when it comes to these gig apps now. And we have so many big players Walmart Spark, Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Shipped. I'm sure I'm missing some. I'm not even going to throw Grubhub in there because it's dead, but you can throw Grubhub in there because it is a dying app. But there's not much more room for new companies to come in and do the same thing over again. Investors aren't going to be willing to put money into this field as much because they already know how it works. They know all the legislative issues that comes up. They know all of the issues going on with people hating tip culture and drivers stealing orders. This is not something that you're going to see more and more apps ballooning into. We kind of got what we got now. Yes, you might see a new catering app pop up. In my opinion, catering is the current bubble right now. If you can get into catering, great. I think at some point the catering bubble is going to pop. Do you really need $200 to pick up food from a restaurant and drop it off at a break table? You don't. You'll take it. Gladly, you're going to take it, but it's the next bubble. The bubble has popped. So now you have to, as a gig driver in 2026, you really have to use strategy and knowledge and skill to make sure that you're taking the orders that make sense on the apps that you are utilizing. I'm going to highly recommend try to find other sources of income to supplement your gig work, because obviously gig work is in a downturn. It's not to say that you can't be profitable, and it's not to say that people aren't making money out there. But as a systemic whole, gig work is in a downturn. And you really should not put all your eggs in the basket. If you found value in this, like, share, comment, and subscribe down below. Consider joining the channel if you'd like to support in that way. Happy to have all of you guys join us for the ride here as we grow the Cruisin community. And I have more of these videos in store to further deep dive into gig work and other forms of side hustles. And I'd love to have you guys join for the ride. But this is going to be Cruisin with Corey. Corey out.
It sound right, boys.